How to use your Victron battery monitor. So this is your Victron BMV battery monitor. If you look at your monitor, there's a few buttons on it. The main ones you're going to use are the plus and the minus. You're going to use these buttons to scroll to different screens and to tell you different things about your battery. So the first thing here is your battery percentage. This is how much battery power you have left, and it's saying we have 86% left. If you press the bottom button, it will take you to the next screen, which is your time remaining screen. This is an important screen because this will tell you how much time you have remaining left on your battery power at this given rate. If you're bringing in more power than you're using, it will say infinite hours. So if you have solar coming in and you're not using much, it might say infinite. If you're using more power than the solar's bringing in, or if it's nighttime and there's no solar and you're not plugged in the shore power or generator, this will tell you how much time you have left on your battery power. This is one of the main things you need to know when using your system. The next screen is your battery temperature. There's a temperature sensor on your positive battery post, and this is what that measures. If the batteries get too hot or too cold, they will automatically shut themselves off. The light blue lithium batteries we typically use can be used from -5 degrees Fahrenheit up to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. The next screen is your battery voltage. This is the voltage of your batteries, and it will fluctuate between 12 volts and 14.4 volts. When the lithium battery is full, it will read somewhere between 13.6 volts to 14.4 volts. When it's empty, it will be at 12.0 volts or less. If your battery voltage is at 12 volts or less and your monitor is reading at 100%, that means your battery monitor may be auto-synchronized with your batteries, and you may need to resynchronize so it reads correctly. And that's for another video. But you can always go off the voltage to kind of have a gauge of where you're at. The next screen is also an important screen. This will tell you how many amps you are using from your battery or how much amps you're charging to your battery. So this is an amps per hour number. If it's a negative number, that means you're using 7.3 amps per hour. If it was a positive number, that means we would be charging 7.2 or 3 amps per hour. For example, 10 amps per hour over 10 hours is 100 amp hours. So if you have a 100 amp hour battery and you're using 10 amps per hour, you have about 10 hours you can use this battery. Same thing when you're charging. If you're charging 10 amps per hour and you have a 100 amp hour battery, it will take 10 hours to charge that battery. This is an important number to know because even if you have solar and you're using more than the solar can provide, this will still be a negative number, even with the solar. So this is what you kind of want to watch out for when you're out in the sun and using stuff. If it's a positive number, you mean you have more solar than you're using and it's charging the batteries. If you scroll to the next screen, this will tell you the same thing, but in wattage. So instead of amps per hour, it's watts per hour. Now you can use either amps or watts, whatever is easier to calculate, but I find it easier to calculate with amps since the batteries are typically rated in amp hours. The next number will show the amount of amp hours consumed from the battery. For example, if you have a 100 amp hour battery bank and you go to bed at night with 100%, and you draw down the batteries 54 amp hours overnight and you wake up, it'll say -54. This is the amount of amp hours you need to recharge to get to 100%, or vice versa, this is the amount of amp hours you used overnight. This will go up and down depending on how many amp hours you have. So if you have 200 amp hours, it will go from 0 to -200. This number will fluctuate up and down as you charge and discharge your battery. And the next screen is back to the beginning, to your state of charge. If you have the Servo GX Touch 50 monitor, you can look at the bottom left of your screen, and this will also show you your same battery information, how much percentage you have left, how much amps and watts you're drawing from the battery per hour, and your battery voltage. And if you want more detailed information about your battery, you can click the screen, click bottom right menu, and then it'll bring you to this list of your devices. You click your smart BMV, and this will also tell you more information about your battery. One important thing to look at here is your time to go. If you look, it says 1 day and 20 hours. Now the last thing we want to look at is your BMV Bluetooth monitor app. So if you pull up your Victron app and you look for your device, this will be your smart BMV battery monitor. It'll pull up and it'll look something similar to this. Now from here you can see your battery state of charge is 86%, your battery voltage, the current going in or out, your consumed amp hours, and your time remaining. You can also see the battery temp down at the bottom. Now this is a Bluetooth battery monitor, so as long as you're within a reasonable distance from the battery monitor, around 20 to 30 feet, you'll be able to watch your battery status anytime. So this is what you're going to be looking at 90% of the time to monitor your system.